All right. Man, sometimes, the thing about life for me, hold on. I'm supposed to clap 3 times before I start recording because well, shit. Let me do it again. That second clap was kind of weak. Could you hear it? No, that was weak. Damn, boy. I got weak claps. Hold on. There we go. 3 mighty claps. And you're supposed to do that so the audio engineer, my producer Nick, so he can line up the video and the audio together and able to sync this and put this out into the world. So just so you know, sometimes if you ever hear people clapping or making a loud sound in the beginning, they use those sticks. Sometimes on an acting set, they'll be like, all right, take 2. And they do that. That's so they can line the audio up with the video. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if you care. I don't know if I care. I honestly do not know if I even care. But thank you guys for being here. Let's get into it.
You wanna take a little more, leave it on the floor. Meet me at the show, don't forget all of your dough instead of this past weekend. Yeah. You wanna drink a little more, smoke a little dope. Don't bring all your problems, you can leave them out the door instead of this past weekend. Yeah. Get that hitter.
Gang. That was submitted by Rusty Scott, and that's some new music right there that was submitted by Rusty Scott, and thank you, brother, for sending that in. That wild. I was listening through some stuff thinking like, well, what would be good to what would sound fun to start the show off? What else? He sent this one in too. I'll play this one as well. Here we go.
Monday morning rolls around and you wake up on the floor. Gang, bro. Whatever it was you did last night, you won't be doing no more. Get that head up. Saturday was crazy as hell and you hoped it would never end. Gang, bro. Pull up a chair and hear some stories about this past weekend. Get that head up.
Man, that's crazy right there. And so that's a real song that came in. And thank you, Rusty Scott, for sending those in. That second one, man, that's the one I was looking for. I actually played a different one first, but I'm glad you guys got to hear both of them. That second one made me laugh, man. That one made me put me in a good spirit right here out the gate. Out the gate. I hope your weekend was good. And now we back in life. It's back in lifetime. That's the thing sometimes, man. Life comes at you fast, boy. Dude, what did they put into life to make it so fast, Man, I remember being young and life was so slow. Dude, you could take a 2-hour nap and wake up and it would be earlier than when you went to sleep. Man, you had forever. Remember when you were young and you had forever? There was you had forever. Man, I miss that. You could, I don't know, I guess that was, when you're young, everything is so new. Everything is so novel. That's one thing I miss as well. Like, not only did you have so much time, but everything you did had such a magnitude to it. It had such a like if you fell in love with somebody, that shit was deep. You woke up in the middle of the night and you had love just hanging off of your bones, You felt, your heart felt like it was just thinking about that person constantly. When you had that love, when you had that young love inside of you, it would just, you could feel it just hanging off of your neck, just with its arms wrapped around your neck like a hungry baby. That young love, man, it was just, everything was, when you were young, everything had such magnitude. Everything had such girth and such claws. Everything was so real and heavy and strong and light and heavy and light at the same time. It was heavy because it was new and novel, and it was light because you had time to explore it and time for it to work out or to not work out. Man, I miss that about being young. I just miss that, like if you, man, remember going out on the town when you were young? Man, you're 16 years old, or you were, 22 and you hit the town. Anything could fucking happen, bruh. A friend pulled up. He showed up in a fucking van. He didn't even drive a van. One of his parents drove a van. And one of his parents, who were not super smart, let their son, a 16-year-old kid, take the fucking van to go out at night. How has that not caught on to parents? Don't let your fucking son take the van. A van is just a trap house on wheels. Anything could happen. Dude, if somebody had a car, it was like, things was limited. You could ride around, you could listen to some music, you could put some beers in the trunk, you could smoke a joint, right? Somebody had a fucking van? Dude, if your friend had a van, bro, anything could happen. You could start a small business. You could run a butcher shop in the back of that bitch, son. You know what I'm saying? Y'all doing 40 miles an hour and fucking dropping bacon bits out the back. In a van? Anything could happen in a van. You could start a little family back there. You could start an advertising agency back there. It's Mad Men back here in the third row. Dude, if you ever had a van with that third row, anything could happen in a van. But I remember when you were young, the night was thick. Boy, you got out your friend picked you up at 8 o'clock. Y'all rolled out. If you was girls, you was a couple of bad bitches rolling out, Put in your fucking, put in a real, put your strongest tampon in and hit the town. We doing it tonight, Daniela. You know what I'm saying? Maria, you know what I'm saying? Huh? Susan, huh? Tiffany. Tonight we letting it all hang out. No bra tonight, girl. I'm letting these titties touch the wind. Man, I miss that being young. Dude, I remember we'd go out. Man, I remember one time my buddy picked me up and he had a van. He had the longest van you could get. Have you ever seen that van? It was like for church, right? But then every now and then somebody who wasn't with the church would get the church van. Dude, that thing had 9 rows. You know what I'm saying? The 8th row was just for sin. The 9th row, bro, they had usually like a little, a cooler back there, get you a couple of, some juice hitters, some, Capri Suns. You get them Capri Suns and you just juicing yourself up, just dousing yourself up with fruit juices in that 9th row. Then you jump back over the seat into that 8th row and sin again, boy. You know what I'm saying? Drop your sin stick in. And you had maybe a lady back there. Or if you was being real wild, you might have had a little man back there with you. And that was it, man. That somebody who wasn't with the church got that church van. And anything could happen. Dude, the 4th row, that was for remedial reading. They had tutoring going on in the 4th row. The 5th row, they had somebody who was usually grilling cheeses or, doing grilling cheeses there. Somebody hit you with that small, if I don't know if you ever eaten a grilling cheese, but they're good. Someone had a dog back there and they were talking about, maybe they were going to listen to Widespread Panic or something. I mean, anything that long. So when somebody that wasn't with the church got the church van, dirty magic could happen. You know what I'm saying? Dirty fucking magic. They had one of the rows, it was somebody doing magic or pretending they were doing magic, but really they were just trying to touch just trying to get a little bit of touch. You know, a little bit of David Coppenfields. You know what I'm saying? Oh, come back here. I'm going to pull a rabbit out this hat. But then you get back there and the only thing in that hat is, you know, a little bit of regular cock. And you're like, oh, this ain't a rabbit. This ain't a rabbit, you know, but I'm going to let that thing hop around on me. Man, being young, man, anything could happen when you were young. And when you had a friend that got to somebody that wasn't with the church, got that church van. Could you believe a parent, much less a parent with the church? First of all, what is the church doing selling that van back out into the world? What do they think is going to happen? Not every family has 19 children. Remember that van? You know the long van I'm talking about? That thing was like a 40-seater. You could put 2 baseball teams in the van and still have a couple rows for referees to sit between them. But in it, man, when wild stuff happened when somebody who wasn't with the church got a hold of that church van. And they had a boy like that in my town, this beautiful boy named Samson. And he would come pick us up in that church van, bruh. Dude, one of the windows, immediately, we couldn't get it open. Somebody just fucking broke that bitch out with a hammer. And we were so full. We were in like the 6th row. You couldn't even hear the glass break in the front. And we was smoking giants in there. We was smoking just American children's giants. Just blowing, just huffing huge amounts of marijuana into our lungs. And I'm talking them horse leg hitters, man. We had one boy with us. He was so weak he couldn't even hold up some of the big giants we was smoking. He couldn't even hold them. He had to hold them with both arms and then also get one of his legs up there to hold that giant. You know, he had to fucking put he had to get 2 hands and a foot up there to hold that giant up to his mouth. And he was just, dude, people smoking horse legs, dude. Equestrians. You know what I'm saying? The kind of joints that might test positive for doping, for steroids. Them big horse legs, baby. Just, dude, I remember I got high one time, you know. They picked me up at 8 o'clock. I got so high, I fell asleep. At 8:15, I was unconscious, right? But still, I was young, man, and you could faint or pass out. You could die when you were young, and you wake back up 2 hours later. And people were like, where you been? You're like, I've been fucking dead in row 6. I'm like, well, come on back, man. You're like, I'm back now. You know, this is reincarnation. Pass that jaunt again. And you get jaunted up. But I remember all kind of stuff. People, you know, using, you know, making, you'd have a one row 7 or row 8, somebody making illegal footwear. Anything could happen. You know, they had a couple of children back there with printing presses, you know, making propaganda flyers. Anything could happen. You know, the 1st or 2nd row, that's where people that really, you know, some people were just looking for a ride, hitchhikers. Everybody was in that church van when somebody that wasn't with the church got a hold of it. You know, you'd have people in the 2nd row, or the 3rd row, you'd have people touching each other's crotches, you know. Fangabonging each other. But by the 7th row, they'd be raising a child, the same people, later that evening. It was just, you know, anything could happen. You get married in row 5, you know what I'm saying? Child rearing in row 7, divorced in row 11, working for the city in row 12. Bam, son, you got a whole fucking life going on in that church van, boy. Thing had 46 rows, dude. They had a funeral going on, row 39, somebody gone, somebody died. And this time died for full time. This is full time, 40 hours a week dead. We're not talking part time. But man, that was wild, and that was wild being young. And I just remember that. I remember that being young and you know one thing, people don't realize this about being young, or maybe people do, and maybe I just learned it. And so suddenly I think that people don't realize it. Isn't that crazy how sometimes you'll just learn something, you'll be like, well, what people don't understand, people do understand it. You're just an idiot, brother. And by you, I'm talking to myself. But one thing that I didn't realize until recently was, you know, the reason why time it feels so big when you're young, why it feels like you have so much time, is because time is new to you. Think about it. Say if you are 10 years old and you have summer break, right? That's say you have 3 months and you only been alive for 10 years. So 3 months, it's like 2% of your life. It's like a percent of your life. You know, that 3 months, if you've only been alive for 10 years, is like a whole 1% of your life. Or two, or I don't know but it's a big part of your life. You've only been alive for 10 years. So 3 months of that, a summer break, that's huge. But now 3 months, now I'm in my 30s, baby. 3 months, that's nothing. That's like a tenth of a percent. You know, and so it goes by faster because I've gotten used to that. It's not as big of a chunk of my life anymore. 3 months is a little bitty bit of my life now because I've been alive so much longer. And so, of course, 3 months goes by fast because it's in the big scope of my life, it's a little bit. Or at least that's why it feels like it goes by fast as well, because it doesn't hold the same magnitude now. 3 months back when you're 10 years old, 3 months is a lifetime. And it goes slow, and there's more intricacies to it, and there's more moments, and there's more magnitude because it's a huge part of your life. 3 months now, man, fuck. Dude, I'll go into a coma for 9 months and feel like I probably didn't miss shit. Because that amount of time in a bigger lifespan isn't very much. It doesn't hold as much weight. The time I'm living on now is more lightweight. You know, I guess I romanticize a lot about being young. It's wild because at the same time, while I think it, on emotional level, I didn't really enjoy a lot of being young. Man, there was still those things when you were young. It was just, man, I remember being young. Dude, I'll tell this story. This is a little kind of out there, I guess. Okay, whatever. I remember going over to my buddy's, and he had his mother. My buddy's mother was, I had some friends that had some attractive mothers, and so I go over there, dude. And I remember sometimes like just taking. I mean, this is out there, man. What are we even talking about? But I remember taking my buddy's mother's brassiere. And I mean, just getting those. And at first, I would just do one breast. You know, as a child, I remember as being young, and this is when I was going through puberty. You know, and I was just perved up, boy. If you even touched me on the back, I would probably just come somewhere. You know, like if you even patted me on the back, or even just, I remember one time like a mosquito or a butterfly just landed on my cheek, and just that touch just made me just spray out. That's just kind of how I was. I could fall down and, if I scraped both my knees at the same time, I would just ejaculate. And that's just kind of, just when you're at that young age, and then that puberty is just flying through your body. Most of your blood isn't even blood. Most of it's just, like semen, but kind of tinted red, because you're just at that young age. But I remember going over to my buddy's house. I can't talk about this stuff, whatever. What are these stories inside of us if we don't bring them out? What are they? What are they if we don't let things out of ourselves? But I remember going to my buddy's house, and his mother had them brassieres, She used to have them beautiful brassieres. And I would take them, dude. I would sneak off into their, they had a hamper. And we didn't have a hamper at my house. Hampers, rich people had hampers. Dude, we didn't have a special, think about a hamper. Dude, a hamper is a special cage for your dirty clothes. Like they've been so bad, they gotta be locked up. We didn't have that, dude. My dirty clothes lived on the floor. You know what I'm saying? I even remember if you didn't have a pillow at night, you just put all your dirty clothes in one stack. Make sure the socks and the unders were down at the bottom of the stack, and that's your pillow right there. You know what I'm saying? Sleep in all your dirtuality. But yeah, man, rich people had a hamper. If people had a hamper, I was like, what? You take off your dirties and you put them in that special tall box? That's crazy. I remember thinking those people were living high on the hog when they had that. But so I'd go over to my buddy's house and they had that hamper. And I knew his mama had some brassieres in there. And boy, I'd fucking go into the restroom. I'd be like, I gotta go pee, you know? And dude, I'd be peeing for 40 minutes. You know? They must have thought I had a damn, you know, I had to hook up with the Colorado River or something. You know, or I was working freelance for the Monongahela because I would just be, and I wasn't really peeing. I was just pretending I was peeing. I would actually pee. I mean, I would save up as much pee as I had. I wouldn't pee for 2 or 3 days because I knew I was going to go in that bathroom and have to pretend like I was peeing. And while I was pretending, I'd get that brassiere and I'd put that thing right up on my nose. And take that hit, man. And that first hit, that first smell, it was had a little bit of motherhood in it, you know, because this was my buddy's mother. But that was just a half a nostril of motherhood, and the rest of that was all just sensuality, you know. Because one of my buddies, you know, I told you had a hot mother, and his mother had that hotness, dude. And she had sometimes you would see her shoulders, and I would just, good God. I remember seeing her shoulders and I couldn't even see for like a couple days, bro. I would just be, you know, my eyes would just fill up on the inside with just semen and just, you know, young coom, you know, that young fervor. And that's just sex just running rampant through your body. Dude, when you're a boy, a lot of women don't understand this, and girls, and maybe it's like that for girls at certain points in your life, but when you're a young boy, you're basically You're basically an Uber for hormones. That's all you are. You're not even an Uber. Uber's kind of classy. You're a Lyft. You are a straight up Lyft for hormones. You're not working for yourself anymore. Your body is overcome. Your brain is overcome by semen, you know, and by the dark arts and by the desires. You know, Pandora's box is cracked open somewhere back in your, you know, your medulla or your hypothalamus or something. That thing's just leaking, just, you know, just that fiery flames of just wanting to spray out. So anyway, I'd be there in the bathroom, and I wouldn't have peed for a couple days because I had to kill time in there, because you can't, dude, sometimes you'll smell a bra. And I don't know if you ever seen Cider House Rules, but sometimes the man in Cider House Rules, good night, my kings of New England, you know, my queens of New York, or whatever, the daddy, the main man in Cider House Rules, sometimes he'll hit that ether and he'll wake up an hour later. And that's what it was like when you got that hit of that brassiere, bruh. Oh, man. Your whole body would just be be erect, just with just that sensual, just like rigor mortis, but like dicka mortis, you know? Just your whole body would just turn into almost like a penis. And sometimes my eyes, I would just fade out. I'd be unconscious. Just so high on just fucking being hopped up on sensuality. And puberty just flying through my fucking veins, bruh. You know, and you didn't know if you were going to black out. You didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. So you'd have to pee, you know, that's why you had to save up as much urine. I remember I would get like 3 or 4 cups of water, put those on the sink before I was going to pee. Then I would start peeing, right? Pee as slow as I could. And I could pee, dude. I was the Greg Louganis of piss, dude. You know what I'm saying? I was Greg Lougain piss. Dude, you know what I'm saying? I was the Mark Spitz of piss, bruh. I was that Carl Lewis. You know what I'm saying? I was that Carl Lewis of the urethra or ureter or whatever it's called. And I could pee for 4 minutes. I could pee for 4, the softest stream you've ever even seen. You know what I'm saying? Like you could see the beginning of the pee coming out of me. You could look the other way. You could look at like a picture on the wall and then look really back quickly, and the pee wouldn't have hit the water yet. That's how soft I could urinate. I was just so soft. Almost like I was just pissing Downy. Just pissing that Snuggle softener, bro. That shit might not even ever hit the toilet. You know, I could piss real soft. So I could pee for about 4 minutes. Then, and I was still just taking huffs off that bra. You know, just peeing and huffing, dude. And at first I would just do one breast, you know, 1 cup. And that thing might have been a damn. I think it was a C, but God, if it was a D, oh, no wonder I ended up in the dark arts, because Satan had me early. Satan had me early just riding that titty face mask, you know? And I would just be, and you know, if you inhale so many times at once, you pass out. You know what I'm saying? The Lord makes your lungs, that's a two-way, your lungs are a two-way street. You can't just keep riding them inwards, and then your brain's going to be like, nah, man, we're shutting you down for a minute because you don't know how to work your own lungs, you fucking pervert. And that's what would happen to me. I would just lung up on that titty holster, and I would just faint. But if I didn't faint, I wanted to get as many huffs as I could off of it. And so what I would do then is if I ran out of urine, I'd start slowly pouring the cups of water into the toilet. So then they still think I'm peeing. So now in my mind, it doesn't regulate. Oh, they don't think that somebody can't pee for 9 minutes. You know, they don't think that. None of that regulated. I just thought, oh, of course. They know when daddy's in here in the toilet that I go hard. I go hard down here in the pee paint. You know what I'm saying? I ain't no wimp. You know what I'm saying? I'm that Hakeem, I'm the Hakeem Olajuwon of urination. I be down here, you know? I'm that Dikembe Pistumbo. No. You know what I'm saying? I pee down here. I pee. And that's what happened, man. And I would pee and just huff that brassiere. And then it got to the point where I was huffing both cups at the same time. And that's when, you know, you're starting to set yourself up for failure. But it's amazing how things will progress. Anything will progress if you let it. Dude, at first you're just looking at one piece of dark art. And next thing you know, you're in a museum. And it's all dark arts. That's all it is, man. It's just Picassos, just Piscassos and Vagina Van Gunts. You feel me? It's all the dark arts then. But it's amazing how if you let it, if you keep flirting with disaster's going to take you on a date, and then disaster's going to take you on a second date, and then disaster's going to fuck you. So I'm saying it builds. Anything you do builds. And but yeah, next thing you know, I was huffing off a 1C cup, and I was just trying to get even because my brain would manifest that there was a smell of tit in there, that there was a straight up, you know, that SOT, that SOT, that smell of tit, and I would just huff that brassiere, and she had the thick brassieres too, nothing lacy. I couldn't dude. If it had been something lacy, like doily, like that breast doily, brown. My entire heart would have busted open, and just confetti would have just flown all over the universe, and unicorns would have danced in circles, and the devil would have flared up and known he had won a round. But I didn't do that, you know. She had those thicker kind of, you know, my buddy's mother had those thicker kind of brassieres, and I would just huff them things and just feel lit up. But the tough part was that's how I started. You know, I didn't find comfortable ways to interact with women. You know, and so that was some of the tough part of it. But man, being young and just everything was so heavy when you were young. It was heavy because it was new, and it was light because you had time to explore it, and you knew that it wasn't so severe. In the timeline of things, it wasn't severe. But in the novelty of things, it was so severe, and it was so intense. Oh, that's one thing I miss about being young. It was the discovery, you know. Everything, you were Christopher Columbus or Christina Columbus, everything you did was you landed on something new. It was wild. It was fun. It was exciting. I want to thank you guys for the call. Man, so many calls came in from last week. You know, the episode put out, and I want to let you know also that this week's episode is brought to you by Gray Block Pizza. A lot of people don't know that or don't realize that, and that's okay. But Gray Block Pizza is at 1811 Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles, and you can get that hitter. And they got beautiful choices over there, calzones, and pizzas and all kind of stuff. And they're good people over there. Stop in there, tell them you know me, and get that hitter. Also, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Lakeside Maple. And Lakeside Maple, I'm going to be straight up with you. They got some, oh man. If you like to have a snack, and I noticed this, I have a snack while I drive around. You know, and I like to have a little bit of a snack over in a side seat. Because if I don't have a companion with me, I like to have a snack over there, something I can touch, you know? And it could be either touching a friend or just touching a snack. And that snack for me right now is a Lakeside Maple. They got trail mix, and it's made with pure maple syrup. Some people dripping that, you know, running on fake MS and all types of fake MS out there. Not them. They're running on pure maple syrup. It's crafted in small batches. It's all natural. They're a small business. They have original spicy, okay, which was a stripper's name I used to know over there in Toledo when I used to go see all of that, and ginger chai, which also I think is like, honestly, could be an Asian name. But all of their mixes are made by hand, and they're gluten-free and vegan-free if you're into that. Now, if you like gluten and you like vegan, you can also have this, because I like those things, and I have it, and I love it. But you're going to love it, man. Lakeside Maple. Get that mix. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you don't have enough mix in your life. Well, they put a mix in a bag for you. LakesideMaple.com. Code Theo, Theo at checkout for 15% off. Go on, get that hitter. What else, man? Oh, I got some dates coming up. I'm going to rattle them off to you really quick. You know, I'll be in Skyway Theater, Minneapolis, Minnesota. That's next weekend, August 4th. That's sold out. Chicago's almost sold out, August 16th through the 18th, Laugh Factory. Zanies in Nashville, September 14th and 15th. And then we got Toronto Just for Laughs, September 20th through the 24th. You know, and, you know, it's crazy because some of these clubs, they don't pay you fair, man. You know, it's so crazy being an artist, man. It's scary. These people don't pay you fair. And, you know, it's a lot of this fucking business, man. You know, but then also I just need to recognize that it's at times, you know what the tough part for me is being grateful, but not getting fucked. You know, and I think that's probably a lot of people's, you know, that's where a lot of us live. You know, because it's tough, because there's moments where you know you're getting screwed, right? And then it's like, how do you handle that? You know, and it's just messed up. A lot of these places, they're not doing anything for you except, you know, yeah, they're letting you come there, but I'd rather go do the shows than at a place that's going to appreciate us. You know, that's going to, you know, split the money up more fairly or give away some, make the tickets cheaper, donate some of the cash. You know, some of these places, man. So I'm just trying to work, you know, I'm trying to work with good places. I'm trying to make these people give me fair deals. And if they're not, then I'm not going there. You know, I'm not going there because it's not fair. You know, being greedy isn't fucking cool. I don't think it's cool. And we try to work with businesses and stuff that are doing cool, that are, you know, we try to be fair with our businesses in the ads. I'm not going to try to sell you guys bullshit on here just to have ads, if I can help it. You know, I ain't selling no Casper mattresses, bruh. Soft ass mattress, dude. My back, I can't even feel my fucking spine anymore. Come on. And I know I'm getting angry here, but I just don't like the unfairness of things. I don't like it. You don't have to be unfair. You know, you don't have to be unfair. So, but then also it's like, I know I have to pay my dues, you know, so it's tough. I guess that's where my tough thing comes in, and not getting that, you know, and recognizing. It's hard to recognize sometimes if you know you're being mistreated or if you're just paying your dues. So, but I think some of that goes back to trusting our instincts. And if we're not sure, we can always just be honest with somebody and say, hey, look, I don't feel like you're treating me fairly. And what do you think about that? And then at least then, I guess I'm not sitting there wondering. But anyway, man, I didn't mean to get in all that stuff. Some of that's my own stuff. But we had a lot of people called in last week about last week's episode. So I want to get to a few of those calls. Here we go.
Hey, what's up, Theo? This is Ronnie from Philly.
Thanks for calling, Ronnie. Ronnie from Philly, dude. I feel like half of Philly is named Ronnie, men and women. You know what I'm saying? It's my brother Ronnie, and this my little sister, also Ronnie, AR. Let's hear more. Thank you for calling, Ronnie. City of brotherly love, too. And a lot of brothers up in Philly, too, man. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a black friend, go to Philly. You can't even leave without one. They should have a gift shop in Philly. Meet a black friend. Onward.
Listen, man, I was listening to this past weekend's episode You seem like you're beating yourself up there a little bit. You know, I realize you're, pretty stressed out on the road and all that. And, I'm just calling. I want to let you know, man, you always have our backs, but I'm calling to let you know that we got your back too. All the phone calls that you've taken, all the countless people that you've helped, man. I mean, and I haven't even called in myself, and you've helped me immensely. I can't even, put into words how much listening to your podcast, week after week helps me out with my.
Well, thanks for calling, Ronnie. I appreciate that. I'm not cutting you off. I just wanted to just take a moment and say thank you. Let's hear more.
My own dark arts, you know what I mean? I got problems, twisting off 2-3 times a night myself, man. Trust.
Ooh. And that's heavy work. That's heavy work. 2-3 times a night, that's heavy work, man. That's heavy lifting. And it's crazy because that third time, is there joy in that? What is that? The second time, it's a little bit of, painful joy, kind of. It feels good, but it also hurts, kind of like wearing tight leather. But the third time, you tempting that little baby fucking nut dragon that's living on top of your nuts. That thing, whew, that's a tough one, that third rip, bruh. But thank you for calling, Ronnie. Let's hear a little more.
It's deadly out here, and I recently, I stopped drinking. I'm a month sober, and, a lot of that has to do with your help, man. And I'm not calling about me, though. I'm just calling to let you know that we're here to support you, and, you always have our backs, but, the listeners, we got your back, too, man. You're a beautiful soul, man, and you got to treat yourself good, because I know you deserve it, Theo.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that, man. It's nice of you to say. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you for the call, man. It's weird. I don't feel like I do anything different or anything wild or, extracurricular. I mean, I just feel like that's part of, and I'm not discrediting what you're saying, man. It's very sweet of you to say that. But I feel like that's what our group is. And there's a part in your call right there when you said, when you started, we're kind of sharing about yourself a little bit. And you said, but this isn't about me. I want to let you know this is about you. And that kind of touched me a little bit, man, because, because I think in today's world, we all need some of that. We all need to know for a second. It's so crazy. We're all so like me. It's like such a me world right now that when somebody says, hey, this isn't about me, this is about you, man, it makes you feel something. It makes you feel something. But I appreciate that you guys have my back, and I felt that, man. I got so many nice messages from people, dude. I got so many. Some of them were so funny, but I couldn't figure a way how to like reincorporate them back out into the world. There's some calls in here. Some were on Instagram and just messages I got, and just super grateful. But thank you for that call, Ronnie. I appreciate it. Let's hear another one. Here we go.
Theo Vaughn, your boy Tom from rural North Carolina. Sorry I missed your show, man. I was on vacation.
Tom from North Carolina, man. Tom's been a listener since day one of this podcast. Now, how you even found this podcast on day one? That seemed like he might be a lurker. But I love you, Tom, and I appreciate you being here, Tom from rural North Carolina. Onward.
It's pretty much a shame that you have to apologize or kind of put a preface before Emo Nemo saying how you got in your feelings or this. You're trying to make excuses for it. I don't really think that's right. Number one issue, in my opinion, besides opioids in this country is mental health.
Okay. And I appreciate you saying this, Tom. It's kind of like, I don't feel like you're taking me to task, but I feel like you're bringing up something that's, it's so funny. That's how I felt, man. I was caught up in, I'm happy to let you guys know, it's 7 days back on my medication, and look, I wasn't crazy off my medication. I wasn't running around, stealing silverware, and, taking furniture apart in my hotel room last weekend or anything. I'd just been hella stressed out. I'd just been a lot of traveling, a lot of not sleeping. And you start to realize how fragile, like your, whatever it is inside of you, your mainframe, your computer, your whatever, that it all is all of a sudden. not eating, I've been losing a lot of weight, just not, just been cattywampus, and so, yeah, so then you get, you're on a podcast, you have to do the podcast, you got to show up, and then you find yourself, basically you're crying on a podcast. You find yourself, sharing your emotions. I mean, it definitely, I guess here was my thing. When I got back to my hotel room after and had to finish the second half of the podcast, I couldn't, usually like you have an idea of like what's going on in your day, how your life is going, what's happening. That part of me was gone. I was like, I don't know what this even is. I was just kind of all over the place, but you're right. So I did feel weird and I did put a disclaimer, and I guess some of that for me is just, there's always going to be some of that uncomfort level in my life where, yeah, it's like, I don't know if I can, I guess where you're afraid to share your feelings, and I think it's because of how we accept each other's feelings. Like it's not weird to me if somebody calls in and has some feelings, it's not weird to me at all. Like I grew up, when I was young, I would give anything to know how my brother felt, or how I felt or how my sister felt. You just weren't allowed to have any feelings in my house. And so I give anything to know it. And so now I guess I'm in a space where I want that. And it's crazy. I'm a late bloomer and this is where I am right now in my life. That I want feeling. I want to know what's going on if I can. But yeah, do I feel ashamed? And I know you're not asking me. I guess I'm asking myself, do I feel ashamed that I had to put a disclaimer on the episode? I think part of it was I wanted people to know that I was okay. That I was like, I wasn't like, if you don't take antidepressants, then you don't know kind of how it feels if you get off for a few days. You feel like you've just been awake for a couple of, you just feel really, you feel uncomfortable. You feel like you don't have a shirt on, but you're at work. That's kind of what I felt like. Like, fuck, man. Damn, I usually wear a shirt. And suddenly you don't have a shirt on, but you're still at work. And so it can be awkward. And that's how I felt. And so I guess I wanted people to know, look, I'm okay. This is how this episode kind of kicked off. Onward, let's hear more, Tom.
And we don't have anybody out there talk. I mean, we got a few people, but like guys like you who are straight killer comics to be like, hey man, like I'm a person with flaws and this is what emotionally, that really resonates to me more because I can really feel where you come from. Well, I'm not trying to bash the guy, but a guy like Chris D'Elia, who comes from well-off parents, I'm not that confident guy. Like, I'm not always, like, on 100%, like, I love myself. Like, there's some days I don't even want to fucking get up, you feel me? I really respect that you're out there putting out a bevy of different podcasts where, this time I feel my emotions. And I just really feel ashamed that you gotta almost apologize for it, because there's nothing wrong about just saying what makes you feel well.
Yeah, well, thanks for the call, Tom. And I don't know, like, Chris and I are getting closer. I don't know him super well, so I don't know. I mean, he might come off to like that as you. He definitely, to me, he's a confident guy, and I wish a lot of times that I were like him, that I wish that I were more confident. I mean, fucking, we're out here, we're out here, and this is who I am. It's like, will I always be this person? I don't know, I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm not doing enough of the work to, sometimes I'm too much sitting around in my feelings and I'm not doing enough of the work to get out of them, or to get into a more comfortable place where I'm learning why I'm feeling as many ways. And some of that for me is getting back into my program, getting back into my step work, and just generally trying to get involved in things that, not holding on to things that are basically, I hold on to some things in my life out of fear. I find there's some relationships I hold on to in my life out of fear. And that's something that's kind of scary to me sometimes. But Tom, yeah, we shouldn't have to be afraid to have our emotions and shit. But look, we've grown up in this society where that's not really what's going, hasn't been the way that things have been. Women have been more the emotional ones in the past. And now a lot of women are headed in different directions, where they don't want to be that, or, I feel like they're being maybe led away from that it's not cool to have that by, I think, honestly, by a lot of, by some, in some good ways, but by some false prophets out there, false, just advertising. I think it's one of the main things that have men, it's just been a lot of advertising over the years that make us think, oh, to be tough, you have to do this and you have to do this, and that's it. Can you imagine all the feelings that died inside of men over the years? If you could go into a graveyard, I'm surprised that ghosts aren't just emotional. You always have these ghosts showing up haunting people. Dude, if you really cracked into the bodies of many deceased people from 2, 3, 4 generations before us, dog, they would just be all emo Nemos out there. Because that's all they died with. Most of them just died full probably of emotions that they didn't let out. But I think we should teach it in schools. How is there not, I've said this before, how are there not classes in schools that teach kids how to feel and how to react and know how other kids feel? How are people still not how are you getting out of class and not, I just don't know. But then we have so many rules and it's just all these lawyers and all this bullshit just hampering down on our teachers and everything that they probably are unable to do a lot of that. Everything got all fucked up a lot of times when everything, lawyers and insurance and all this shit came into it. I'm not saying if you work for insurance or if you are a lawyer, but I'm just saying that there's this world where you felt, you didn't get treated then you got to have a law, and then you have to have a lawsuit, and then the rules change, and then suddenly it's just to the point where nobody's even doing anything. If you interact with anybody, it's a lawsuit. So that kind of shit, I don't know. I'm kind of talking out of my ass. Before we take this next call, I want to let you know about Goyaya's Creperie and Coffee down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They got coffee and they got crepes. And they're at 501 Main Street downtown in Baton Rouge. And now my family lives in Baton Rouge over there by the Chase Bank. And my brother and his little son just had a birthday, little Zeffy. And he plays basketball and he shoots them swaggy shots and he hits them swaggy buckets. But when they are not shooting buckets, they are downtown at Goyaya's Coffee and Creperie. And man, if you don't know about crepes and you don't know about Goyaya's, then you're missing out. It's just 5 minutes from the Louisiana State University campus. They have breakfast and lunch. And not only dessert crepes, not only sweet crepes, they got them hearty hitters. They got them crepes con girth. You know what I'm saying? Them girthies, baby. Them thick baby legs, Them crepes got a little bit of girth to them. They have breakfast crepes with bacon, eggs, and cheese. They got chorizo and eggs with salsa verde crepes. They also have the Acadiana Bing with local boudin and that pot roast grilled cheese. You know what I'm saying? The kind of shit that'll make you reconnect with your stepmother right there. They're open Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 1:30, and Saturday, 7:30 to noon. You can find them online at goyayas.com, GOYAYAS.com. We'll put the link. Tell them that I sent you. Say hello to my friend David. All right, let's take another call here. Thank you guys for calling.
Hey, Theo. It's Tim up in Canada. This past weekend, I just got into your podcast. And I just want you to know I love you. I'm going to get emotional.
Thanks for calling, Tim. I appreciate it, man. That's okay to get emotional, man. I feel you, bro. Onward.
I'm in my 3rd year of sobriety as well in the AA program. And the thing I love so much about you, the thing that I admire so much about you, the thing that I'm sure all us depressed, anxious, sober alcoholics out here love about you, is that you're more you now than when you're out there actively using. I just love how silly and fun you are, and I want to bring that part of me out. I know it's in there, and I don't know. I felt like I was more that when I was drinking. I'm happier than I've ever been. I really am, but I want the outside guy to match the inside guy. You know what I mean? I want to get in there. Anyway, I love you and I love this podcast. You help me so much. I'm just so grateful that you're a part of my life. So, thanks for helping me get that hitter.
Oh, thanks, bro. You got me fucking emoed out, man. That's okay, bro. Fuck, dude. I mean, it sounded like, look, you just made me laugh in the moment of, where you're sharing your feelings. it is pretty powerful. It's like so many times I would drink, or I didn't drink much, but I think a lot of times it seems like we drink or we party or we do something because we just feel like we're not enough. And it's funny, when you're young, we drink or party or, or whatever, have fun because it's kind of part of culture. But then for some of us, or for me anyway, I guess it was something that I was doing because whatever, I wasn't enough. Yeah, it's like we just want to be. It's brave, man. Think of how brave it is. Some people think, you're sober, that's fucked up. Or that's weak, or that's what. Dude, I think it's brave, bruh. I think it's the hardest thing to do. To go and be you know what? Oh, we got all these things that help us have fun and this and that, but I'm gonna walk out here by myself, son. I'm just gonna walk out here. Do you have any booze? All I got is whatever, the Lord is, put in my veins. I got 9 pints of fucking O positive. That's all the liquid courage I got. And the crazy thing is, we get used to it. We get used to being sober, and it's actually relaxing at a lot of times. To go to a place and not have to drink, not have to party, that shit is sometimes relaxing. But thanks, man. You saying that it makes, that it seem like I have fun and stuff like that. I appreciate that, dude, because I want to, I want to live my best life. I want to live, I want to I want to be able, I want to, I don't know. I can't figure out what I'm trying to say. But you made me laugh, man. You made me laugh. What's funny is, I'll tell you this, Tim, whenever, let me make sure that it's Tim, too. Sorry, man. Sometimes
Hey, Theo. It's Tim up in Canada.
Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes, Tim, I notice when, dude, if I start talking, say somebody else, like we're talking about is sober or something or whatever, we're talking about drugs or partying, we start talking about a crazy story. Dude, if I want to party, if I want to go party, I'm feeling like I want to party or something. If I tell a crazy story with somebody else and they tell me a crazy story and we laugh and have a good time, as soon as we're done laughing and having a good time, I don't want to party anymore. Because what I really wanted was, I didn't want to party. What I really wanted was to connect with somebody and have fun and feel good. And I wanted somebody else to I wanted to feel okay. And I wanted to be around somebody and have them be okay, and them be around me and me be okay. And everything was okay. Everything was okay. And I didn't walk away feeling like, oh, fuck, I said did this, something, or they didn't do that, or we didn't, or I didn't, or somebody, something. I didn't, none of that. Everybody was just okay. And that's really all I wanted ever in my whole life, was just to have a conversation or a moment with somebody and leave and everybody be okay. And so that's what I noticed that sobriety does for me, is that I'll have those moments, dude. If I feel like partying, I have a moment of okayness with somebody, we laugh, boom, we're good, and onward, bruh. And onward. But you're welcome, man. And thanks for being a part of this podcast, man. And thanks for listening, and thank you for calling in. Tim out there in Saskatoon, baby. And dude, Saskatoon sounds like a bar. How could you not drink out there, brother? But I think you're doing a good job, man. You made me laugh, bro. So if you don't think you're there, I mean, I can't fathom that you aren't halfway there. So onward. Let's hear another call that came in. Who listens to the podcast? We got a couple of calls that came in here. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. I was just watching one of the podcasts, and you wanted to know who listens.
Yes, I do. And you have a beautiful voice, young lady. Onward.
I'm in New Mexico. I don't know if I'm a ghost, because how do you know? I guess you wouldn't know. Maybe you'd know. I could be an asexual ghost. I don't know. But really, I run, and I like to, actually am involved in the circus. I do aerial, trapeze, and,
you do a lot, it seemed like. Onward.
fabric. And, I just wanted to say I listened to your podcast. I'm a mortgage underwriter. I run. I do CrossFit. I like to paint. And my name is Sarah. All right. I love what you do.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks for calling in. Look, sometimes you want to know who, and you don't know who listens or you don't know who this, and next thing you know, it's an underwriting ghost. It's a ghost that does underwriting and also runs. So, look, I'll tell you this, Sarah, it's nice to know. When I was growing up, ghosts weren't doing shit. They were being scared or they were scaring people, and that was it. You know, a couple of them had gigs on television. You know, Casper did, and then somebody, you know, maybe one other ghost. You know, Ichabod Crane or whatever. But outside of that, they wasn't doing shit. But now it's nice to know ghosts are running. Ghosts are working mortgage underwriting, doing CrossFit. So thank you for listening to the podcast. And very interesting young lady. Thank you, Sarah. Let's hear more.
Hey, Theo. I'm calling from Dubai. I'm out here in this desert oasis.
Dubai, boy. And Dubai seems great. Dude, I've never been to Dubai. We had a man that called in last week, actually, Oscar, and he was out in Dubai, and he showed some video, some footage of it in our YouTube. You can see it. But, man, that seems crazy. A beach without water. Everybody out there. It's illegal to drink. You know, I'm sure they got some hookers out there, some straight-up sand hookers. You know what I'm saying? Why? Some of that warm putang being sold around town or that warm kek. I mean, that's crazy, man. Everybody dehydrated, selling dehydrated crotch to each other. Whoo, it's wild out there. Thank you for calling, sir.
I'm working out here for about a year and a little bit. I'm a lawyer, actually, originally from Canada.
Oh, Canada's great. More?
So I just wanted to let you know that there's people listening to you from all over the world, different walks of life, people doing different things, but we can all relate to a lot of things you're talking about. So I appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. And good luck. Hopefully we can get you out here to Dubai sometime. Think about it. Gang, gang.
Oh, he snuck that GG in at the end, boy. They sneaking around out there in them sand castles, man. He's an attorney out there in Dubai. Wow, that's cool, man. Thanks for calling in. You know, it's funny that when I was young, I wanted to be an attorney. You know, when you're a kid, or when I was a kid, that was like the thing you could be, man. The rich, that seemed like you'd be like a rich person, you know, or you'd be able to do things. And I feel bad. I was just making fun of attorneys a little bit ago. And not everyone's, you know, I mean, a lot of this is generalization. So, and also, look, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, but if you took offense to something, you know, feel free to hit the hotline and let me know. But thank you for calling and thanks for listening. At least I know if I do get in trouble somewhere internationally, bye-bye, I got your phone number. So thank you so much. Let's get into a little bit of, we got these weekend contests. People have called in about the best weekend that they had or the worst weekend. You can hit the hotline whenever you want, 985-664-9503. And let us know if you had a great or worse weekend. But make sure it's a great or worse weekend. Don't call in with some regular-ass weekend. You know what I'm saying? Like Terry, you know, like Big Terry got her tubes tied. We don't give a heck. You know what I'm saying? If she got them tied by somebody who does, you know, like a clown that does those cool balloon animals, now that's a unique person to get your tubes tied by, isn't it? Onward, let's hear one.
Hey, Theo. This is Tim. I'll make it quick. This is for the best weekend entry. I'm 50 years old. I competed in my first jiu-jitsu tournament weekend ago. Went down with my girlfriend, a 27-year-old blue belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm a white belt. I've been doing it for just about a year.
Wow, look at Tim, and he snuck the age in of his lady, too, there. You heard him slip that age in? You know, my girl, 27 years old. Congratulations, Tim. This already sounds like an amazing weekend, man. You guys are both doing jiu-jitsu. You're at 50 years age, man. Let's hear more.
We both competed. She got gold and in no-gi and bronze in gi.
And look, I don't condone the use of the word no-gi. Okay, I don't know what Tim's talking about, but you know, yoga we can discuss. But just joking. Onward.
And then I got silver in my division. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about a year, and it's changed my life, man. It's the best thing I ever did. The girl and I, we spent the weekend together. first time we'd taken a trip. I got like you got that shy cock sometimes, and but for the weekend, it behaved and performed, and so that was a good point too. And it was just, I gotta say, it's one of the best weekends I've had. This girl freaks me out, man. I'm 50, she's 27, but there's a real connection between she and I might end up marrying the girl and putting a baby in her or two.
Dang, now that, talk about jujitsu. That's a finishing move right there. Put that baby in there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's that arm, that's that leg lock that'll last for 9 months. Wow. Well, that's cool. Look, man, I'm glad you guys had a great time. A lot of new stuff going on, especially when you go on the first trip with somebody you're dating. That's always kind of a fun thing, and y'all cruise off and do something new together in a new place. That's an exciting time. I'm glad you guys got to have that experience, and it sounds like it went good, or it went well. That's what my mother would say. She would correct me. As you're talking, man, I'm thinking about this, that Tim, while you're talking, the 50 and the 27 year, it's interesting. Who's to say what's okay? Who's to say what age is okay? Like, my father was 70 when I was born. My mother was 32. And my father didn't have any money. I've said it before. I might fucking old dude with some cash. You know what I'm saying? Let's see how my career goes. But, or see what kind of tough ruts I end up in. I won't fuck it, dude. If we were both in the dark or something, and he was erect and there was money definitely outside of the door, I might jerk that dude out. But that's nature. Is that nurture? That's nature. That's nature. Because you don't learn to do that. You're born knowing you're able to do that if you need that money. But yeah, man, the age difference, sometimes it is what it is. I think it's just a matter of if it's a healthy situation. And I'm not judging your situation or anything like that. It's got me thinking about that. It's got me thinking about that. Because I think there's a lot of fear out there for men and women. There's a lot of fear for men of, I feel like a lot of my friends are worried about marrying women the same age as them. And then there's a lot of fear for women. There's probably this pressure out there that it feels like you have to marry somebody that is already fiscally well off, or stable. Or maybe women just want stability. I don't know. I should probably get somebody that knows more about like genders and how they behave and stuff in here sometimes, and we could talk with him about that. I'll look forward to doing that. Thanks for calling, Tim. Let's hear another one. Oh, you know what? I want to think about this. I watched that Poirier-Alvarez fight this weekend. And if you're not familiar with these two bad boys, they are UFC prize fighters. And these are the kind of dudes, I'll tell you this, I wouldn't take their daughter on a date. You know what I'm saying? These are some real bad boys, and they're good guys, but they're Romans. They're guys, they're finishing. One of these dudes might fight a tiger in a few years or something on the internet for a big purse. They're the kind of, these are some real hitters. And both of them are lightweights, but I wouldn't tell them that. But they're ranked number 4 and 3 on the charts, on that lightweight UFC chart. So they're chart neighbors, bro. They're chart neighbors. So that this fight was going to be a real fiasco. You know what I'm saying? This thing, and people were fired up because they fought before. They already fought one time and they were coming back for more. So here's the thing, dude. I remember most of the people I ever fought beat my ass, bro. And so I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? If people are like, you want to go back for more? I'll be like, I'm good. But these gentlemen, these bad battleships, wanted to straight up, they wanted to swim in each other's ocean again. And so this was Poirier-Alvarez part 2. And you got Eddie Alvarez, man. And this guy, Eddie Alvarez, it seemed like he'd been fighting his whole life. It looks like he don't even sleep. Like he just stays up all night and fights. This guy is, you want to talk about somebody that seemed like they just absolute a gentleman of the sport. And I don't mean gentle in the word gentle. I mean a leather neck, but I'm talking about a concierge of the sport. This man, he just, I mean, it's just, he's a technician. You can tell that he loves, it is in him, and it's not in him like a fever. Some of these guys, this fight seems like it's in him like a fever, but Mr. Eddie Alvarez, it seems like it is in him at a level that is technical as well. And Mr. Dustin Poirier, he's out of Louisiana. He's out of Louisiana, that Poirier. So it seemed, that Poirier. So it seemed like by the time you even said his name, it seemed like you've already French kissed the air just saying his name, Mr. Poirier. It seemed like you in the air might already, be ready for a second date. But here you go, man. These two bad boys are going at it. And I tuned into this one, man. I don't tune into a lot of the fights, but I love watching Louisiana fighters. And Poirier out of Lafayette, but based out of Coconut Creek down there in Florida. And I'm a big fan of both him and Mr. Cormier. So this fight starts out, and they're just testing each other out, but they're fast about it. Sometimes you watch these UFC fights, and these, they barely touch each other the first round. They're just looking at each other. Some of it seemed like it's like kind of dirty ballet that you might pay extra for and watch in like the basement of like a New York kind of like, some like shady place in New York or in like downtown Toledo or something. But these two boys, man, they got in the ring and immediately they was starting to figure it out. It was almost like they picked up right from where their last fight ended, and at a certain point you see kind of like Alvarez kind of does this spin move and then Poirier kind of jumps into him but doesn't do anything. And that part to me kind of reminded me of, you ever like started playing Xbox and you didn't know how to use the control and you're just trying the buttons out? That's what it kind of seemed like to me. Like you see, like Alvarez is like, oh, okay, this is what the right push right does, and then you see Poirier is like, oh, okay, this one jumps, but I forgot to press kick. So like you kind of see him like kind of testing out all their moves, and you see Poirier's got he got snakes in his arms, dude. I bet if you looked around his neighborhood over there in Coconut Creek and you checked the pet store missing pets. I bet they got a couple of cottonmouths missing. I bet they got a couple of dangerous cottonmouth snakes that are missing. And I bet if you look inside of his arms, you'll find a couple of snakes. Because that man, he got that arm, comes out, and then fucking bites you at the end. That thing comes out hard and straight, bro. And it might be cottonmouth, but it's like about 9,000% cotton. He got that fucking hard cottonmouth. And they're mixing it up, and no homo here, but Eddie's got that beautiful body. I mean, Eddie Alvarez, if you look at Eddie, I mean, he looked like, I don't think he may have one tattoo. Doesn't look like he has any, but he's got that. I mean, he could be like a model in like Miami, model hats, model cigars, like he seemed like that guy. He's got that, he's got that capoeira in him. He's got that Miami handsome, And these boys, they're going at it. They go at it hard. It's not like, like I said, some of these fights start out soft, but these boys go at it immediately. Like a couple of ham hunters. And they heard that the winner of this fight gets that best cut of ham. That they swinging for good ham. What I'm saying? These ain't no butterball, these ain't no butterball bad boys. These some honey baked hunters. You know what I'm saying? They going for those good hits because they want that, you know what I'm saying? They're going for that top prize. Now, they keep cruising on and using different tactics here. And you see Eddie Alvarez, there's this moment where he kind of goes for Dustin's waist, and it's like he tries to, I don't know if you've ever seen like a kidnapper at a mall when they try to rush somebody and push them into a van, but he goes for that, that kidnapper into the van kind of thrust waist move, and then he backs out of it when Dustin kind of slips out. And then Dustin kind of counters a little later. You see him with this, he kind of do this, it's like the stanky leg, but it's with his arm. It's kind of like, you ever seen that move where somebody's kind of looking for a light switch in the dark? That's kind of that. It's kind of like, if you've ever been looking for a light switch in the dark, it's like you don't know where it is, but you still out there. You got that. It's kind of like a metal detector when you putting that arm out in front of you like that wild metal detector. And it's ineffective, but he's just kind of, both these guys are still kind of feeling each other out at this point. And at the end of the first round, the crowd is into it. There's a fervor, and Alvarez is throwing them cat strikes. You ever spent time around a cat? And a cat, sometimes you think, oh, we're friends. This cat likes me. You kind of pet that cat, or suddenly you think it's just resting. And suddenly that cat will just fuck you up like that. And that's like Alvarez. You know, Alvarez, you think he's being complacent or something. You let him for a second think that he's getting tired or anything. And then bam, bruh, that fucking cat strike, you know? So they wrestling, and they wrestling wildly. And then Poirier gets him in that headlock. Poirier suddenly, they're rounding about and they're touching each other's bodies really aggressively. And next thing you know, Poirier's got him in that hard scarf. Poirier's got him in that hard fucking scarf, boy. And that thing's about 30,000% cotton, bruh. And 16,000% wool. And that's the hardest scarf you ever could even be in. And you don't think that that Alvarez is going to get out of it. But Alvarez kind of, he keeps his airway open enough. And I don't know enough technically what a lot of these things are called. And I'm going to have to ask Eddie Bravo whenever I talk to him a little bit more about this fight so he can take me through it. And look, I'm not trying to make fun of these guys. Either one of these men could whip my ass probably in their sleep. Maybe even in a coma, both these men could whip my ass. But you see that Poirier has him in that hard scarf. And this is where Alvarez flips the script. He slips out of that hard scarf, and next thing you know, he's got Poirier up against the cage, and he's really, and this, for me, this got a little bit, a little crotchy. It seemed like, and look, I know you use every element, it seems like. These men are warriors. These men are Roman warriors. But it seemed like a little bit of like the Me Too movement kind of. It seemed like, Poirier was kind of, like it almost seemed like, maybe a cop should show up and just, make sure this ain't a damn domestic dispute, because it was just, this thing seemed a little crotch heavy, Like suddenly my gay friends were like, oh, this seems interesting. When before they hadn't been paying attention to the television. And this is the part where they separate him because Eddie hits him with that elbow. Straight down, the 12-6, they call it. You can't do that 12-6, that trucker. You remember when you were a kid and you were driving along the interstate and you were looking out the window, or your parents were driving, you'd look out the window, you'd see a trucker. And some of them would try to fucking show you their junk or whatever, or get you to, show your nipples to them. But the decent ones, you could go like this, and they would just pull their horn, and that's the only interaction you guys had. And that's what Eddie hits him with that fucking, with that decent trucker horn pull. And the referee says you can't do it. You can't do that 12-6, you call them. You have to come in at an angle. And I didn't even know that about the fights. So I'm learning something new right there. And right after that, man, it really, honestly, I couldn't even tell exactly what was happening. Because the strikes just came fast. There's a knee, there's a couple of hand strikes, and Alvarez, man, that guy, he lost. Poirier took him and kept hitting him, and I thought, there was a point where I thought that the fight was over, and Alvarez still throwing punches. And that's when it's amazing to see how deep and ingrained it is into some of these men to be able to fight and to be able to be warriors. I mean, Alvarez almost reminds me of like a character from Gladiator or something like that, He very much has that. I think he could even have an acting career. He just had, when you see him, you see that. But I was happy that, that Poirier took it on him, dropped a couple of hits. And Poirier, man, you could see in his eyes go full pupil. You know what I'm saying? His eyes go full pupil. In that second, you're like, wow. Just so zoned in. And so effortless, too. So effortless. And the UFC definitely grows on me more and more, especially as I, get more tempted to try out like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu myself. Dude, I'd never be in a damn fight, man. I couldn't handle myself. But it would be, but watching these men in there and seeing them get excited and I feel excited even just talking about this shit, but the UFC definitely grows on me because I realize, yes, it is fighting. Yes, they are going against each other, but also there's such a camaraderie. And there's such a level of respect, because even as a fan, man, you just have so much respect for these guys. Just watching that they're able to do that, and the fear, just to be fearless of it. To go out there. Most men, it's a huge fear. They say public speaking is most people's biggest fear. I think it's fighting. to go out there and fight. And these men go out there and do it. But it was, much respect to both of these men. I was happy to see Poirier win, just see a guy from Louisiana. And you know what this fight reminded me of? Just a great bar fight. It reminded me of two of like the best bar fighters you've ever heard of finally showed up at the same happy hour. And hats off to both of those guys, man. Hats off to both of them. Let's cruise into another call or two here. Oh, we got another weekend contest that came in. Here we go.
Yo, Theo. This is Stink from North Carolina.
Is this Stink? I don't know if I heard that name right. And I don't want to say someone's name is Stink, but it could be a nickname. Onward, Stink?
Calling in for a best weekend or worst weekend. I'll let you be the judge. Last weekend, went out to the bar on Friday night and met this girl. She was out with some friends, and her friends got very drunk, and she was there by herself. And this girl was 9 months pregnant.
Okay. So she's out there, being that Sherpa. Let's hear more.
Come to find out, just found out that baby daddy had been cheating on her. So, ended up.
Wow, man, that's got to be pretty sad. Oh, and she's at a bar, 9 months pregnant. Is that feminism? I don't know what that is. What do you do, though, when you're not? I mean, it's probably better than her sitting at home by herself, Good for her. Good for her getting out and doing something, staying active. Let's hear more.
Hooking up with her, taking her back to my place. She stayed the whole weekend with me.
What? I just did not expect this part of this. What? I did not expect this part of this, man. Damn, you took home that man, bro. You took home a 9-month pregnant woman. With the baby is right there. Bro, that's almost like having a baby in the room, bro. There's only a couple inches between you and a live baby. You know what I'm saying? There's only like 8 layers of skin between you and a live baby being in the room. That baby's pretty much in the room, but it's just hiding. You realize that, huh? Wow, let's hear more.
And then Monday, the day after she left, I get a text from her. She had just popped out that little baby. So I went to visit her at the hospital and said, congratulations,
Wow, man. This is like Bridges of Madison County a little bit. This is like, dang, this is like The Notebook, but in Sacramento. Let's hear a little bit more, man. This is pretty sweet.
Kind of feel like my dick helped do this. But
man, every time I think that this conversation is going to be a certain way and you turn it a different way. Onward.
Yeah, man. It was a good weekend. Have a good one.
Wow. So you met a girl at the bar 9 months and you popped it. You helped her maybe have a baby. You're basically a midwife. You know what I'm saying? You're like a midwife. Dude, what if you were a mid-husband? You're like a dude that finds women that are pregnant, that are just about to have a baby, and you got that magical cack. You got that hitter, You got that wild little hitter. And you got that thing that helps them all just, you got that, they call you the water breaker. And you're out there, and it's like, it's almost like Kevin Costner could play you if there was ever a movie, but they call you the water breaker. And you get out there and help women come to full term. And your finishing move is the third trimester, and you're the water breaker. That's cool, man. Well, I guess you did something good, man. So way to give back. And you went to visit her and the baby. That's sweet of you. I mean, look, you're a gentleman in my book. And I know you're not asking me if you are, but if that don't sound like a great weekend, man, I don't know what is. I do not know what is at all. I got to make a phone call real fast. All right, let's get into another couple of calls here. Sorry, I just had I had to take a little bite of that Lakeside Maple. Here we go.
Hey, Theo Vaughn. I wanted to know, how do you be funny without being an asshole? I feel like whenever
Oh, this is a good question, man. This is a good question. Thank you for calling about this. More?
I get in like a joking mood, I just tear other people down or like complain about shit or just like make fun of other people in general. Or I'm like complaining about something, and that's when I feel funny. And I know you said you used to be real angry in the beginning, but I just wanted to know what you thought about that. All right, man, I love the show. Bye.
Thanks for calling, man. Love you, bruh. You know, and I used to be that way, man. And sometimes I still have to be careful that I don't. And it was just anger. It was just anger. You know, I wanted to make people laugh, but I was just angry. You know, I was just angry. And so if you're asking me that question, then you're probably noticing a lot in yourself. And so I had to get into an emotionally better place. You know, I thought that the world was against me a lot of times. And here's the crazy thing, and this is going to be hard, or for me this is really hard, is I didn't realize that. Somebody could have told me right now what I'm telling. Somebody could have said to me right now what I'm saying to you, and I wouldn't be able to recognize it. Like, I feel like the world is against me. But because I did, but I didn't recognize it. Yep, I feel like the world was against me, and it wasn't. And once I realized that the world was not against me, then I could still be funny because I was still funny. You know, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but, you know, it was what I like to do. You know, I was still had a hint of humor, you know. But now the world wasn't against me, and so I could lay my jokes better out into the world. They didn't have to be it wasn't coming from a place of defense. Now my brain and my heart could be funny in a way where sometimes it wasn't always at a place of offense. It was a place of just kind of from everywhere. And that, and also people can tell when you have ill inside of you, when they can feel that ill intent inside of you, they can tell it. They can feel it. We feel it in ourselves, man. Sometimes I still notice, oh man, I'm joking around too much and I'm getting back into my old ways and it's not fair. And I owe this person maybe an apology, or at least to let them know, hey, I'm sorry. Or I'll have a little, a carburetor in my mind, or a little, what is it called when you set the throttle? No, the idle. I'll have an idle in my mind that'll let me know, you're running hot right now. You got to just be quiet. You know, just tone it down. But once I realized that the world wasn't against me, then I wasn't as defensive. And so I wasn't, my first line of humor wasn't a defensive one. It wasn't an attack one. Oh, I got to make fun of that person. Now, it's still fun sometimes. Now, some people like it when you make fun of them, like Brendan Schaub. And if you don't know him, he is he was a wrestler and he retired. And he, he's a model. He's kind of a model, I guess. He's a little kind of thick to be a model, I think, but whatever. But he is a podcast host and a big fighter, big brown fighter. And he has The Fighter and the Kid, you know that, TFATK. And he also has the Big Brown Fighter. And that's where they talk about different fights. And but he likes it when you rip him up, when you roast him. So with him, it's more fun. But yeah, you got to be careful. Sometimes for me, I would notice too if I was doing it a bunch in a row. Like if I made a joke about somebody, sometimes it would be okay the first or second time. The third time, then that's when you're being mean. You're picking on somebody. And now if you do that, though, you can always go back and apologize, you know? So, and sometimes the apology is, I've learned a lot in my life apologizing. I've learned a lot, even when I didn't think that I was wrong. I've learned a lot in my life about apologizing. Because if you go to somebody who fucked you over, right? Say you think somebody fucked you over, and you go to them, and you hit them with an apology, you hit them with some kind of a kindness, you do something, man, that puts them in a crazy space. Because now somewhere inside of them, they know that they're wrong, and it just, you start to infect that, whatever that in them that lets them behave that way. You start to infect that with something good. All right, let's take another call here.
Hey, Theo, my name is Danny Vargas from Denver, Colorado.
Thanks for calling.
Just calling just to say thank you, obviously, for what you do. Your podcast made me really happy, and there's some time right here. But my question, or I guess my issue that I want to bring up and maybe get your insight is I just got out of a 5-year relationship, and it's pretty tough sometimes. And you know, I'm trying to be healthy and work out, vitamins, socialize, and all that. But at the end of the day, it's still at the end of the day, you still go to sleep and you're sad or whatever. But just to see if you had any insight or advice that you could give, or any experiences that you've had too. I appreciate you, brother. Keep on doing what you're doing. Love you.
Love you too, Daniel. Thanks for calling in, man. Yeah, dude, that is hectic, huh? I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that you're feeling like that. I'm sorry. Yeah, then breaks-ups are tough. And if you get out of a breaks-up, it's hard. Even if you know it's the right thing. Even if you know it's best, it still hurts. The worst part for me, I remember, man, when I was young, boy, and things were so much more severe. When I'd be in a breakup, all I could do, and this is back. And I still struggle with this a lot. My girlfriends, the girlfriends that I chose, or the ones that would, be my girlfriend. The second they were my girlfriend, they became like my mother. It became that. And so, I loved. I would just. So when we broke up. For me, it felt like a loss of a mother, because I'd put all these different expectations on them that weren't really fair to them. I'd put on and that's my own problems. And I still suffer from that a lot. I still suffer from that. I'll fall in love and make a mother out of a girlfriend. And that's just trippy. That's just trippy. And that's some of the work that I still need to do on myself to get in a better space. But not to make this about me. That's hectic, and things you could do. Some of it is honestly just to feel it, because sometimes things about feelings. The reason why we feel them for so long sometimes is because we don't feel them at all. We mask them or hide them or feel them. It hurts to lay in, fuck, I'll tell you this shit. I remember being real lonely, laying in my bed, and I remember kicking my leg out across the bed just under the covers and nobody's over there. And that shit sometimes, especially as you get upward in your 30s, you're like, damn, that hurts. Is my life always going to be just me? When you get out of a relationship, you're like, oh man, because there's a lot of comfort there. A lot of people, I think, stay in relationships because of comfort. And you know what? That's okay, I think. Because it's hard to find some comfort in your life. If you and someone, you're not going to be in love every second of every day. I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's a family member or anybody. I don't feel like you are gonna. So, some people stay in love or stay in a relationship because it's just that there's that comfort. And so, yeah, you're going to be without that comfort, man. You're going to be out there. You're like an astronaut, but you don't have a suit on. So you're really probably pretty raw and exposed to the elements. But, dude, you know what I'm saying out there? Start thinking about other planets, Start maybe looking at the rings on that Saturn over there. You know what I'm saying, boy? Sneak into your buddy's mom's house and take a hit off that brassiere, baby. But just know this, man, you ain't alone. And you could probably bring that up to almost any dude or even any woman and talk to them about it. But if you feel something, fucking say how you feel, And I appreciate you calling here and bringing it up, man. You're here, man. You're here with us, bro. You good. We good, man. You know what I'm saying? I'd come over there and fuck you, bro, if I had a vagina for you, bro, and if I was into that kind of shit. Who knows? Maybe if the world's going to end, bro, you might live next door to some smoking hot chick or something. And maybe the world's going to end next week. And you got there's an announcement that comes on the news, 2 minutes till the world ends. Dude, have your best shirt pressed right by the door. Put that bitch on. It's going to take you about 18 seconds. Get out in the hallway. It's going to probably take you 12 seconds to run back into your apartment. Realize you got to put a mint in. All right, now you get back to her door. You got about a minute and 20 seconds left to be alive. I would ring the doorbell if they have one. Don't knock. Sometimes you knock and you don't know if they heard it and maybe they didn't hear it, and that can take another 20 seconds wasted. So ring the doorbell. Now she's going to show up. You got about a minute and 5 seconds, dude, to take that party straight to fucktown. And she's going to want to because the world's ending. But I would just tell her, like, look, you know, I've been in love and sometimes I miss it. Or, hey, man, I wonder what it would feel like if you and me got comfortable. Dude, it's going to take y'all probably 35 seconds to get somewhere where y'all can fuck and get your clothes off. But for that last 35, dude, you're going to be a couple of damn donkeys that have just been lightly electrocuted. Y'all going to be straight fucking, and that's beautiful. All right, man, let's take another call. Thank you for calling in, though, brother. I appreciate you. Let's take another call.
Hey, Theo, this is Ruben calling from Phoenix, Arizona.
What's up, Ruben? My mother used to live out there outside of Phoenix, man, in Glendale. And I love Arizona, man. I love that state. You know, I went to University of Arizona for a little bit, and I used to live out there off of the east side, out on the east side out in Tucson, you know, out off of Gulf Links, watching people box outside of the car washes, bruh. Onward.
And I'm sitting here, man, and I'm listening to your podcast, you know, the Emo Nemo, and it's really crazy, man, because you have a very special way of communicating your thoughts. It's very unique, man. It's very special.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate you calling and saying that, Ruben. Let's hear more.
And before I listened to the podcast, like right before, I wasn't having a good day myself. You know, I was being an emo Nemo. And when I heard you say that, man, it like flipped something in me.
And you just flipped something in me because it is kind of a ridiculous term, isn't it? But it is kind of, I guess it is oddly kind of weird. It's like what we do sometimes. We just kind of start swimming around in our own feelings, you know? It's one of the curses of comfort in America sometimes. It's one of the curses of comfort. Is that we can sometimes, on a whole, America, we're pretty comfortable. And then when you start to not have problems in front of you, sometimes you start to look for problems inside of you. Or we get, you know, our emotions are kind of like our new frontier. You know, it used to be you would go off into the woods with your tribe, and that was the frontier. And now our frontier, you know, the woods have kind of moved inside of us. Let's hear more, Ruben. Thank you.
So I continue to listen to the podcast, man, and I'm laughing, and you have a few times where I've listened to the podcast, and you have a very special way of being able to make somebody smile, like laugh or just like trip out on the things that you say and the way you explain everything. You're very unique, man. You're very special. You have a huge fan over here in Phoenix, Arizona.
Thanks, Ruben. Thanks for the nice words, man. I got a lot of nice calls as well. I wish I could play them all. You know, I wish I could play all the nice calls and just, you know, people just checking in, man. I can't even tell you, thank you so much. You know, this makes me think a little bit, this makes me think a little bit, Ruben, as you're saying that, you know, I do find that I'm glad that you think I have a good way of communicating. And, you know, some of this goes back to, you know, a lot of the Emo Nemo stuff. It was coming, you know, it was just, you know, I was thinking about my mother, and I wanted to go see this college that she went to, and it made me feel bad that I didn't go. You know, I honestly didn't make it more of a priority no matter what was going on in my life. You know, I didn't make sure I was well rested the week before, that I was taking my just things I didn't do. I didn't do certain things so I could be there and be in a comfortable situation and go and take care of take care of things I wanted to do. I wanted to go see the school my mom went to. because I saw education is important to her, and I didn't get to do it. But a lot of this stuff, communication, it goes back to, I think, my mother and I I've said this before, we never have laughed together, and when we were a kid, we never laughed together. She, and I think her parents didn't laugh with her, so she didn't know it. She didn't know you can do that sort of thing. There was nothing in her world that's how you connected with your children. And so I think as a kid, all I ever wanted to do, I've said this before, but all I ever wanted to do, and why I probably communicate sometimes in ways that are funny or entertaining, I think all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid was make my mom laugh. I wanted to make her feel good. I wanted to make her feel comfort. I wanted to look at her and not see her like having to work hard and having to struggle and having her like, I wanted to see her without concern. I wanted to just see her, with joy in her. And so I think even when I was young, even not even knowing it, not even any plan of mine, but I would try probably a million different ways to make her laugh, or ways, and probably different ways of communicating, because to make her feel okay, or just to make her feel, or make her seem any different than she was, to get her out of whatever this cage of just, effort. She's always, my mother is alive. My mother is, 75 years old, I think. She's always putting forth effort. She still works every single, it never ends. It never ends. She's never stopped working. We've never really gotten to hang out. And all I ever wanted to do was to have her, I just wanted to find, so it's like somehow if I can figure out this communication, if I can figure out a way to get to her, she'll know that, that I just want her to laugh so I can be okay. When you see your mother laugh as a kid, it lets you know that everything is okay. So anyhow, if I communicate in different ways, I think it's because I think when I was young, I just tried as many ways. I was just trying to pick that lock of wanting to laugh with my mom. And but I appreciate you calling in about that, Ruben. This it's nice. I appreciate you helping me think about that and help me. Anytime I get to think about my mother, it makes me feel good. And I wish that what's crazy is I wish that people could feel how we feel about them. Wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be a great, in the future, if they had like a virtual reality? I wish it was an emotional one. Man, wouldn't that be great? And what's funny is I think we honestly have that in us. I think it's just our instincts. It's just, that's an emotional virtual reality. I kind of don't know what I'm saying, but maybe I kind of do. I don't know. But thank you for calling, Ruben. Onward. I said onward, and that was the end of the call. Let's take another call here. Thank you for calling.
What up, Theo? Just you talking about networks pushing certain comedians, and yeah, it's becoming increasingly easier to not think and survive in today's society. You just get pushed into these jobs, and you get pushed into buying these products, and you get bullied around pretty much by these major media markets, major media entities. And some people fall into it, and some people don't. And just the fact that you think that you're thinking, and sometimes you get lost in your own thoughts and whatever. But dude, just to think that's what separates you from some other people. And it's not for everybody thinking. It's harder. It's a lot harder than fucking swimming with the school.
It is funny because sometimes somebody will ask you a question, dude, and you'll be like, fuck. You don't even want to think about it. I think for me, a lot of my brain is really started to manifest itself in my emotions, or started to live into my emotions, or into, my brain is almost in my skin more than it is in my head sometimes. Or it's in my heart sometimes. I don't know what's going on. But I get inspired. I get inspired to think by some of these other people. We have Jordan Peterson stopped through here. We have Jocko Willinks coming in soon. I get inspired by thinkers, because I say this, man, I believe quickly that the world is starting to separate. And I believe that it is going to be, in the end. A lot of people think it's going to be the rich and the poor. I don't believe that. But I do believe that it's going to be the thinkers and the non-thinkers. I do believe that. Because some people, it's generational. You just get you get so you're so, and the next thing you know, it's 2, 3, 4 generations, and there's not an original thought left in somebody, or even a question. The idea to wonder, to question. And I look, we are and none of us are perfect. I mean, but it's one of the blessings of getting into this podcast has been I get around guys like Joe Rogan. I'm sitting there talking to him backstage or something at the con, and he's like, well, what do you think about that? When your friends ask you, what do you think? What do you think? What do you feel about that? And I'm a little bit more, what do you feel than what do you think? But it's awareness. And I'm noticing more for myself that I've got to start to get into meditation. Because meditation it's a fucking tug of war. And meditation is pulling yourself back from this fucking magnet. This is because we make a dirty magnet in America. I love America. But we also, we've let a lot of greed come into this life, and a lot of hypocrisy here that, or we haven't let it. It has happened. And that is a dirty magnet that I feel like is pulling against a lot of us a lot of times. Thanks for calling, man. I'm trying to stay woke. That's what they say out there. What else do we have here, man? We got a couple more calls. Let me see. Here we go. Onward.
Hey, Theo. If you could have lunch, like just a regular afternoon lunch, but it could be with anyone in the world, past, present, or future, and most importantly, what would you talk about? And I guess have a good day, man. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Thank you for saying have a good weekend. I didn't even tell you what I did this weekend, dude. I realized that this fucking show, I don't even know what it's about. I don't even know if it's about this past weekend anymore. I don't even fucking know what it's about. What was pretty cool the other night, speaking of Joe Rogan, and yes, I'm going to continue to name drop him. He was bringing me on stage, and it was pretty cool. Because he's got a great podcast this past weekend. And man, that made me feel pretty good, That was pretty cool. Just that he knew, And, and that's what I realized. It's like, it made me feel accepted. It made me feel like somebody had thought about me for once, or just that they knew something about me. We just want to feel like we're a part of. That's it. And I got to start making it a goal of mine when I get up in the morning to do something each day that makes somebody else feel a part of something. I'm going to have to start put that into some kind of a daily reflection or something, or some type of a thing. Let's take this call. Dinner with anybody? Oh, sorry. Lunch, though. First of all, this dude said lunch. Man, lunch with anybody. I mean, it would be my father. My father now would be 108 years old if he were alive. Yeah, so it would be my father. Outside of that, and what would I talk to my dad about? Let me think. And here's the thing, is my dad going to be 108? Because if he is, I'm just gonna be fucking reminding him of shit that he doesn't know about anymore. So, but it would be nice to see him. You know, my dad wore that Old Spice. He wore that Old Spice cologne or whatever it was. Or it wasn't even cologne, it was aftershave. But man, when you grew up around dude, where I'm from, if you had fucking aftershave, that was cologne. You know what I'm saying? Fuck, if you had nice soap, that could fucking be cologne. You know, I remember the hottest girl I ever met growing up when I was real young. I thought she had on perfume and it was hairspray. So I still catch a fucking quick erection when I fucking, you know what I'm saying? You fucking blow a quarter of an ounce up of Aquanet in the daddy's fucking snout. The down, boy. I'll puff dick right out the front, bruh. My dick will start puffing. Who would I have? You know, it could be Michael Landon. You know, I loved Michael Landon as a child. I think we all thought he was our dad. You know, I think I envisioned him as this idea of a dad, you know, that I wanted, you know, that I romanticized about. You know, a dad that taught me about hard work and that worked at the mill and that, you know, and that just that helped me through moments so I didn't have to just be inside of moments by myself. That's the hardest thing for a child, I feel like, is being in a moment and not being able to ask for help. Because then that kind of shit still resonates as an adult. You know, I'm fucking 38 and I won't even ask for help when I need it. I need help. We can't say that. It's so crazy we can't say that. I wonder if it's inside of us just as like this fabric of being a man that we can't say that, or is that something that we've created in society? I need help, and we're afraid to say it. I wonder if that's universal. Is that an American thing? Why do you think we're afraid to ask for help? Are we afraid to ask for help? I think that's probably a neat topic for next week. We might leave this episode right here. Who would I have lunch with? You know, I loved Richard Pryor. I don't watch a ton of comedy, but I loved him. So it would have to be somebody probably that's gone. You know who it would be, I think? I think it would be my dad's mom. Because I'd love to know what my dad was like when he was a little kid. That would be pretty cool, you know, to hear. You know, when I was young, whenever I would go anywhere, I would write a postcard to my kids that I've never had. You know, and I have a bunch at home. I got a stack of them from all across America and some places around the world. But I would send them a postcard, you know, unborn children. And I'm sure way fucking creepy for the postmaster to get. But I would just tell them about where I was. I'd tell them if I had met. Sometimes I'd write on there even if I met a girl or something. I met so-and-so, maybe, you know, I don't think she's going to be your mom, or maybe she could be your mom. You know, I don't know. I would try to just, you know, I was here. This is what I did this week. I would just try and let them know about what I'd been up to. Because one thing I hated about having an old dad was I never knew about him. You know, I never knew about what he was like. I knew about him just, you know, in the brief time I knew him, but I never got to, you know, have a good conversation. Whoa, you know what? Tell me about, you know, tell me about the first girl you kissed, or tell me about, you know, what you know, used to, you know, think about when you were a kid, or just tell me about anything. You know, I just wanted more. So I never wanted my kids, if I ever have any, to have moments where they didn't know, you know, just that they didn't know where I was or what I was doing, or I wanted to try and fill in as many blanks as I could. So it'd probably be maybe my grandmother, but a famous person? Fuck, man, that is hard, isn't it? You know, it would probably be people that have suffered. You know, I'd probably sit with someone who's a slave owner, someone who's a slave, someone who, you know, maybe was like a prisoner. People like that, just to maybe get it, really see what things were like in that time from their perspective. So probably people, maybe not sufferers, but people from different time periods. So you could get a feel of what life was like then. I don't know. That's a good question. And we'll put that out there for you guys too. Who would you have lunch with? Who would you sit with, and why? Who would be a great person to sit with? Let's leave it there. Let's hit the hotline. Let's hit the hotline 985-664-9503, and let me know, who would you have lunch with and why? Someone throughout time. And for you guys, we won't make it a family member, I don't think. But actually, it's okay if it is. I don't want to put any ramifications on it. Then that's fucking kind of weird to suddenly just say, but you can't have this person. I can't think of who else I would like. I used to love Nell Carter, and Nell Carter was an actress. And I loved, I loved Sidney Poitier. And I loved, who else, man? Heather Locklear. I thought Heather Locklear was hot. So those would be some people I think I would probably, want to hear, want to spend time around, or just want to talk to. Maybe have lunch with. There's some people. Who would you? Hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. And we'll come back next week. We'll have, we got Joey Diaz coming in. We got Jeannie Buss, Jocko Willink. And go harass people. I'm trying to get Dion Cole in here. I've been trying to get Marlon Wayans. I keep saying it to them, and they say they will, and then they don't respond. People say, well, diversify the podcast. I'm trying. Okay? And I need some great Latinos out there. Thankfully, we got Joey Coco Diaz, that Cuban Hebrew fucking Wonder Man coming in. And we're going to try to keep diversifying it. And it shows me I probably got to diversify some of my universe a little bit. We had Bobby Lee. We got David So. We got Joe Jitsukawa. We got some neat people coming in. And we're still learning. We're learning as we fucking go. But I want to thank everybody for being there for me this past week, man. It really meant a lot, dude. Some of these calls came in. Some of them I couldn't even play you from the voicemails and stuff, but they just hit me right in the fucking heart. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I just know. Suddenly, I know a lot of good people that I don't even know yet, that I haven't even met in person. And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful to me. We're going to continue to do the single mom thing. I think we have one from Minneapolis that's set up. Some people got upset last week about the single mom for Oxnard. My producer, Chris Perez, told me that, a lot of people thought that it was just her boyfriend called up and just tried to get basically a free date for his lady. And I understand that. That's probably a little bit of bend in the rules, I guess. But we didn't exactly have complete rules. But for me, I think about it more as like the kids. The kids get to know that their mom is out and that she's safe. And so that's where the value is. Would it be better if it was a single mom and she just went out with a friend, or she, it's tough because we're asking people to nominate a single mother, but we'll figure it out as we go, but if you're just trying to take the bread, you're just trying to save a little bread and not have to take your, girl you're dating out. I don't know if that's for this, if this is for that. I think maybe we just want to, we do want to celebrate a single mom. And so if it's a friend, maybe that's better if it's a friend, not somebody you're dating. That might be good. It could be your daughter, that you're very proud of, But my thing is, I just love to have a moment in those kids, if they're young or if they're old or whatever, And maybe they'll be so young they won't even know their mom's gone. She's out for the night. Even though they have a babysitter, but maybe one day in their hearts they'll just have this little extra feeling in there that there was a day or night where their mother was out and about and she was safe in the world. Because it does something to a kid, It does something to a kid when they know that their mom is safe. When they're not worried about their mother, because then they can be a kid. You can't be a kid and be worried. You can't do it. You can't not do it. I love you guys, man. Be good to yourselves. I hope you will. Let's celebrate living on the way out of here. We're just going to take it out with the good old Spencer Jacob growl, man. He does it every time. Thank you for listening to This Past Weekend. Subscribe. Go subscribe to this. Okay? Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes and YouTube. I don't care. Subscribe, man.
Celebrate living.
Thank you to Goyayas. Thank you to Lakeside Maple. And go support that Beardbrand too. We got to keep some kind of advertisement, guys. Those are all good products. We'll put the links below. Celebrate all your pain. All your pain. I messed it up.
All of your demons exercised. Let's have some fun while we all die.
And this is Spencer Jacob Growl with that hitter, Celebrate. We'll put a link to that as well. Oh, we forgot the video calls. We'll get to them next week. Sorry about that. I'm lucky I remembered putting my shorts on. Be good to yourselves.
Celebrate living. Celebrate misery. You know that soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun before we die.
Thank you guys for being there for me, man.
You know that
Appreciate it.
soon we're gonna die. Let's have some fun while we all die.
Go Poirier, baby. Congratulations to Dustin Poirier, to Diamond, baby. Dustin Diamond Poirier, son. We'll see you guys next week. Be good to yourselves. You probably deserve it.